Welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to be chatting with my guest, Tami, today. So, Tami, I would love to have you start off by telling us who you are and what you do in the events industry.
Hi, Shannon. It's so nice to be back for the second time. I'm excited. So, I'm Tami Adams. I am the founder of TA Speakers Management, which is a boutique speaker agency here in Toronto, Ontario, where we focus on human connection and going beyond just the stage.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because I think it is what's happening, right? We're seeing content is one thing, and content is so important to our events.
Mhm.
And obviously, the majority of the reason why we host the events,
Mhm.
but also what are we doing like beyond that? So, how do you make those connections after or even before the session has even happened, right? So what are you seeing now with your speakers and the types of requests that you're getting, and how is content shifting now that we know like people's attention spans are changing, the types of events? Like I feel like I saw someone post about an event that was 4 days long the other day, and I was like, 4 days, like
Whoa, 4 days.
that's too long. Right? Like but
Yeah.
that
That's
10
like a
years
whole
ago that
week,
was
right? Of taking up your time, pretty much, because flights and everything, right? Yeah.
that it's too much, right? And like that is very like old. Like I think most places are doing, day and a half, 2 days
Hmm.
max, right? So what are you seeing as people are kind of redesigning the timing of their events and how that's impacting speakers?
Okay, so I mean, definitely what yeah, so you kind of spoke to it where people's attention spans because of technology, because of AI, because of all the wonderful things that are great for us, but also not, because of all of that, what I am seeing is that people want more. They want more interactivity. They want, they don't want just the talking heads and they want shorter. So one interesting trend has been like it used to be up to 60 minutes. Now what I'm finding is like people are asking for even as short as 20-minute presentations all the way up to say 40-45 minute at the max. That's definitely a trend that I'm seeing shifting is in the keynote space is like shorter requests for types of presentations and speeches. So that's one thing that I've been noticing. And then the other thing is, yeah, exactly. So it's been interesting. Like back in the day, it was like for content purposes, it was kind of like, okay, we want a keynote speaker that motivates and inspires us. So that was it. So like the Olympians and the people that did that, it was like, we just want somebody to make people feel good. What I'm finding now is they want that. That's equally important, but they really, really want those tangible educational takeaways. And I think a lot of that has to go to the purpose of that is because people's time is so limited so they have to be able to justify the ROI on, if they're sending their people or if the people are actually going, like they need to be able to justify, okay, I'm going to spend a whole day at this conference and listen to all these speakers. I need to actually be able to tangibly take something and bring it back to my workplace that I can use tomorrow. So it's kind of like and the level of entertainment that is being requested now. So people who really in those keynote spaces specifically, people who really know how to like bring to life the event. So like one example, like our speaker Daniel Lewis gets booked a lot because he's what we call Mr. Human Caffeine. So I have literally had clients be like, we just want him because it said human caffeine, and we know that he's gonna like brighten up the event and make it special and make it engaging and get people excited for the rest of the program. So I'm seeing a lot of that as well, where it's like we want the entertainers, that's equally important. We want like the inspiration because people need it. Let's face it, the world is really dark at times, but they also want those like really tangible takeaways, is another thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned the like inspirational with the education
Yeah.
because it is true. Like the way that I also think people retain things better, right? Like if
Yes.
you're just trying to teach somebody how to do something, how do they remember it better? They remember it through stories, they remember it through like an engaging moment. Whereas if you're just like, these are the values we're trying to do, or this is how we're focusing on leadership, and it's not tied to something that people are going to remember, and it's just like on a slide, like it's just going to go in one ear and out the other. So I think like that entertainment, like not only it just makes your event more enjoyable and
Mhm.
entertaining, but it also will help people retain things, because I think about the keynotes that I've seen where something has stuck with me, and
Right.
it's usually because the story that they told related to leadership or perseverance or whatever the case is was either funny or like, emotional, right? Like that emotion tied in is what makes people remember. Like if you're just throwing slides at people and like processes, they're not retaining it. It's not sticking with them when there's so much else going on in the session.
Oh, I love what you just talked about, the emotional human connection, because that's what TA is all about. For us, it's when we say kind of beyond, we're more than voices, we're human connectors. What we mean by that is like we want to create the experience with you. So instead of like creating your event and then saying, okay, now we need a speaker here, slot, and just slotting them in, to us, we're like, okay, that's great, but what else can the speaker do to make it an engaging experience? Because remember, like one of the most beautiful things about speakers as well is you want people networking and connecting with each other. So people who are really good speakers, they give people things to talk about. So you were talking about that, like that story that was like, oh my gosh, when, Sarah, when that speaker shared that story, like, oh, didn't you love that? Or, oh, one of our other speakers, I absolutely love this, Cherry Rose Tan. She does so she does an entrepreneurial talk, but it's really about success and leadership. And it's like, what season are you in? So what's really neat
Mm-hmm.
with that one is there's 3 different seasons. It's surviving, thriving, and giving. So what's kind of neat about it is she goes through and shares stories and antidotes and examples, and she does polls, so she makes it really interactive. She'll be like, okay, what season are you in? Then you see that populate up on the screen, and then it gives people like that thing to connect on. And then she talks about how do you maximize each season, but then even after, you can each get stickers that you put on that say what season you're in, so then people can help each other. So it's like, and connect and be like, oh, okay, you're in the surviving season, tell me why you picked that, right? And it's like really interesting to see. Like at a recent event, it was kind of cool because we were like, oh my god, like it actually, like there were so many people in the surviving season that it like went off the screen. So like it was like, and then there was just like a little bit in the thriving and then a little bit in the giving, and we're like, okay, this is where people are at. So it's a lot of like, interesting things. But like, yeah, that's what I would say there is like just like that engagement, right? Or like just different unique ways of delivery on how the speaker delivers whatever it is they're talking about, whether that's through a story or an interactive moment. And this is like at the event, I'm talking specifically, because there's definitely things you can do before and after, but like at the event, it's like, one of our other speakers, Brandy Life. So like during her talk, what she does is she starts off with myth busting. So if she's like talking about fearless choices, she's like, here are some facts and myths about fear. And then people put up like a paddle or something. And then you look around the room and see what people think. So it's like, it actually gives people, what I love is like, it gives people things to connect on, as well as teaches them something that they can use to be better leaders tomorrow. So it's kind of neat that, and there's so many different things. There's so many different things that we're doing that I think the key is events are fun. They bring people together, they connect people for meaningful moments, right? And I think the
Yeah.
more that you can create meaningful moments, not just with speakers, but other different ways as well as with speakers, I think that really enhances and elevates your event to the next level.
Yeah, it's interesting because we always think of like, okay, what are the individuals going to take away,
Mhm.
or what do we want them to take away? And normally if I'm consulting with a client on what the content should be and what the
Right.
takeaways are, I usually tell them like people are going to remember 3 things. So like what are those 3 things that you need them to leave with? But also like I think so many times we think about it on the individual level, but I love that you're talking about that group mentality and like
Mhm.
not really related, but I had an appointment today and in the office, one of the people in the office had a little sign over her desk that said, do not ask me about fantasy books unless you want to hear about every fantasy book I'm reading right now. And it made me laugh because like reading is supposed to be so solitary, but it's actually like this great connector of like, what are you reading? What did you love? What did you hate? I'm in a couple book clubs and someone's in the book club and she's hating this month's book. And I thought it was fine. And I said, that's actually more fun though, right? Because if you just
Mhm.
liked it, if everybody just always liked the book, then you're just all going to eat mozzarella sticks and say, hey, this was a great book. And then like there's no engagement there, right? But
Yeah.
it's it's how is the speaker, yes, impacting the individual, but how is it impacting the group and the collective? through their shared experience of the paddles, through their ability to learn something from other people, not just the person on stage.
Oh yeah, and it creates that dialogue, right? So like we're always like, it's interesting. I don't know. We're in such an interesting moment in humanity. I find like it's like people are safe and comfortable at home, but they want to go out, so they're getting out, and we're seeing that because like they need to connect with each other. But then there's still like, I don't know. There's still this like, okay, what do we talk about? Like, and nobody wants to talk about small talk anymore. Like, it's like, they want to have those deep conversations, and I think that's what a really good speaker also creates is like educates them, but then they get these deep conversations about whatever it is, that story. They're like, oh yeah, and we relate to that. Like it gives people like meaningful dialogue to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's that. I think another thing too is like we say integrating your speaker. That's what we call it, integrating your speaker into the event. So like our speakers, they don't just show up, speak, and leave. Like to me, that's just rude, like in my opinion. So as long as they're scheduled as like they'll go to receptions, they'll go to dinners because they're human, and you need to create that human connection moment with that person that's there, connecting with you and trying to teach you something. So that goes a really long way. And I think a lot of comments we get is like, wow, they're so nice. They're so human and real and authentic and genuine. It's like, so people are looking for that, like authenticity, but also those speakers that really go the extra mile to say, hey, I'm here and I'm here for the event. I'm not just here for my part. I'm here to like do what I can to make sure that I create those human connections. So that's another thing. If you want, we can dig a little bit more into like before the event, some of the things I'm seeing there.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that
I
what?
think that's great. Like I think that we as planners are so focused on the day, and because we
Yeah.
have so much going on,
Well,
right? We're
yeah.
like, oh my God, we just need this to
Got
like
another
happen.
thing like that we have to
Just need to
add to the
happen,
to-do
right?
list. Yeah.
But we are like, when you're investing in a keynote, like you're investing in them, and so you want to get that full return. So like, what is it that you would tell planners and folks that are like, okay, well, like what does that mean beyond? And I just, I posted this on LinkedIn last week about like, nobody cares about like, find us at booth 123. Nobody cares
Yeah.
about like, see our product app, like whatever. Like, okay, the things I can see on the internet, like I don't like, right? Like, so, and I think so often because people are busy or don't have like a great strategy built out, they're like, here's a photo of our speaker and like the cool thing they did, right? Like the Olympian or the like whatever. They're like, what makes them exciting, right? So what are you seeing beyond just like photo, brief bio, sent in an email?
Yeah,
Right? Like, or like
exactly.
the speaker being given like, here, you can post this on your LinkedIn, and it's their face
It's like
with
tailored
what
and
their talk
curated,
is. I'm like,
like
yeah,
specifically. So, I mean, obviously, there's this like one, which I think a lot of people do, which is the promo video. So, like, want to, and getting unique and creative with that, like one of our speakers, I use him a lot because he does lots of great video. Daniel Hill, he was like the client's theme was like live like a legend. And so he created, like, he pretended he was like John Legend on the piano. And he was like, oh, not that kind of legend. And then like he did like this fun promo video about what he was going to talk about. But it was so unique and different, So like, I think there's that because then people they meet the human behind the speaker and they see that and it gets them excited for the session. We've had speakers that have done like LinkedIn live conversations with clients just leading up to the event. That's the other thing. Like I find a lot of people, especially today, it's so last minute when they book their speakers, and there's lots
yeah,
of reasons. Sometimes they need sponsors, so that doesn't come in till late. Sometimes they're just like too busy doing the other pieces of the event. And they're like, oh my God, we need somebody to speak on the stage. But like the more time you have, the more fun and the more creative that you can get with the speaker. You have to admit, like these guys are professionals. So they want it, like to them, when you book them, a good speaker is committed to your event. So they're like, come up with creative ideas. So there's like media interviews, things like that can happen that are happening all kind of before. Obviously, like the speaker does all the deep research and make sure that they're highly customizing it. We do a lot of fun things with like, I love a good theme because then we can kind of play off the theme and come up with a, a talk that's tailored based on that theme or, whatever it is that the client wants to. So like, I mean, those are some of the things before another thing that Daniel is doing, which I love, is he's creating AI songs for events. So like he'll get an
Mm.
AI to write a song about the event and then he'll share it on social, he'll share it with the client. And it's fun. It's like about the event and people are just loving it. So those are some like of the beforehand type things. Another one, actually, which I'm loving right now, is Sarah McVanna, our recognition culture expert. She's doing thankful experiences. So this can be before, during, or after. So what it is, she talks about recognition, right? Like how that leads to healthy, engaged, connected cultures when we all feel like we appreciate each other and the work we do. Because that in today's world, like meaningful work is so important. Like we want to know that if we are going to spend most of our life in our day at work, that we are actually making a meaningful impact. And so, and there's people need to hear that. I mean, there's so much going on in the world. So like she'll do things like, so she's done things where, I don't know if she's doing it, say for nurses or something, she might go to that city a day early and she might gather some of the client and they go into the local hospital and they pass out thankful cards and they record it. So, and then the client gets that and it's like, or she'll show it in the presentation, which is kind of neat. So like, it's like connecting that overall message. Or in the presentation, obviously she's super interactive. She'll do like a text challenge where you text people and tell them something nice. But there's also like thankful walls where it's like, okay, here after she speaks, here's your chance to recognize people at the event. So you go and like, it's kind of like take a compliment, leave a compliment. So there's a lot of really creative and neat things that you can do around whoever the speaker is. And most of them are pretty open to it because to them, they, like I said, they're committed to your event. I mean, I've had speakers that go in and actually spend a day with like, or spend a few hours with just seeing what they do every day. And like, that helps them with their message overall. So there's a lot of really neat things that are starting to happen, fireside chats, or if we go back to Daniel, like with his tea, like, so one of the clients came up with this, I can't take credit for it, but one of our clients was like, what if we do a spill the tea with Daniel after? So it's like he speaks and then it's like they do this really fun, like interactive fireside chat. That helps as well. Cause it's interesting with Q&A. I want to talk a little bit about that because what I'm finding is like, you need facilitated questions. That's always my recommendation in the beginning because people are still processing the information. So when you're like, okay, the speaker's done and you're like, questions, it's like there's this like awkward silence because like people are like trying to like they know they have questions but they need to like process it. So I love having like fireside chats or because then it gets that dialogue and it gets people thinking about some of the questions that they want to ask, or you have those planted questions and then people are like, oh yeah, now I know what I want to talk about. So that's one of my other favorite things. There's so many things like I could go on.
It's funny you mentioned the questions because it makes me think of like the buffets when no one wants to be the first person to like
Yeah.
disturb
Yes.
the cheese board, right? Like you need someone to, because sometimes it's like, yes, the person, like people are thinking, they're processing, but also people are reluctant to be the first one, right? Like
Yes.
they don't want to look silly. They don't want to like feel like, are we really asking questions or like, is anyone else going to do this? Like people kind of need that push to, and so I will often joke at events, like when I see everybody just like looking at a buffet of like, okay, guys, like I've knocked the cheese over, like please eat it, right? Because otherwise people don't want to do something right. And facilitated questions is like the same mental block of like, okay, someone else has gone first. Like now it's like opened up this safe space for people
Yes.
to feel like, okay, well, someone else did it. And they
Because
like,
it is a certain vulnerability to it, right? When you
for
put up
sure.
your hand and ask a question, right? Like it's like you're doing it. Nobody likes to really be the center of attention overall,
Yeah.
generally, so it's like they don't want to, yeah, be the brave. And then I don't know, people might think, oh, it's a silly question or whatever. But it's
Right.
interesting because, yeah, once it does that, then other people are like, oh, yeah, that's a really good question. So
Yeah.
there's so many unique ways. I mean, obviously lots of like if you can sing, if you can bring in an instrument, like those are always really fun. People love that. I mean, we have Leo Chan, like he does the Lego play. So that's really, he's talking about creativity and innovation, but you're actually building Lego. That one's always fun because you look around your table and you're like, wow, yours looks so different than mine. And like, what did you, and that's a conversation starter. Plus you also get Lego that you can bring home to your children or keep for yourself. No judgment, put on your desk as like a little reminder of the event. So like that is always good because those takeaways are great. Like whether it's the tea or the Lego or something, because it can connects, people don't realize is it connects the speaker to the client. So then say you now have this on your desk, or you have it as it's kind of like a promotional product in a way. You
Yeah.
remember that event, right? You remember that you're connected with that client. So or that organization or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I did
There's,
one recently. I did
yeah.
one recently where the keynote asked everybody to like just take a piece of paper and write down. They took the letter, it was the letter T, and it was like, okay, you have 60 seconds to write down as many words that start with the letter T as you can think of.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end, you compared it to your neighbor. And the person sitting next to me happened to be my husband. So I looked over and I was like, I think out of 20 words, we had two in common, which you would think, like, to me, I was like, well, these were the most obvious words. How did you not write these down? And he was like thinking of words like I wasn't even thinking of, right? And so it was a fun exercise of, well, you assume that everybody is like, you think tea, time, tiger,
Yeah.
like television. And then it was, I don't even remember what his
Hurdle.
were because they felt so like completely random to my brain, right? So it's that like breaking it down so that you're interacting and then tying it back to like, okay, well, if like how often do you make assumptions about what people are thinking and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And even if we go beyond the keynote, right? Like if we're just talking about events in general, obviously there's a lot about inclusivity. It's about understanding and knowing different personality types and the types of people that are coming to your event and then creating experiences for them. So like one interesting one is obviously the quiet room. We've seen those appear. So what's really interesting about that is like in my head, it was always for introverts. Like it was always for the people that get overwhelmed when they're, on site and they're like, I just need a moment to kind of like decompress. But I'm a raging extrovert ADHDer and I actually get overstimulated. So you know how like a baby gets like a child gets
Yeah.
overstimulated, right, at an event or whatever out. I get like that too. So I actually love using those rooms to just go and like calm myself down a bit and be like, okay, because I get on this like big high when I'm at these events. And so it's nice. It kind of grounds me. So, like, meaningful experiences like that, or just, I mean, obviously, I've lots of dietary. So, like, please, like, I still find events that, like, they don't have the oat milk out or the almond. I'm like, and then it takes them like half an hour to go get it. And I'm like standing there and like my break is over. And like, you know what I mean?
My
Like, it's
coffee's
just,
cold.
my coffee's cold, my break is over, and now I don't know where this person like I'm still that one still surprises me that I still see events where like they don't have those options out. I'm like, really guys? Like come on. Like I paid just as much as you. Like, so there's things like just even talking about different unique ways. I think it's like integrating your people, integrating your speaker
Yeah.
into the event. Creating like kind of immersive experiences is great as well, where people are feeling the moments. I think
Yeah.
that's really key because like I said, like we've seen it all, we've done it all. So it's this constant challenge to
Yeah.
be like, it's like we've seen it all, we've done it all, and we don't have the time. So how
Yeah.
do we get people? It's not easy, right? But we're getting creative. I mean, I love how WEC does learning journeys. You know how freaking fun those are? Like it's amazing. Like we did a scavenger hunt last WEC where we literally went around the city and it was really hard. I definitely was not the best team member, but I cheered them on because I was like
Well, and it's,
finding things.
you were talking about like kind of like catering to different folks. It's also like catering to different learning styles,
Yeah.
right? So, yes, there's like a lot of talk around inclusivity around like neurodivergent folks, but just every person has a different learning style. Like I am so visual. Like I am so like if you just tell me how to do
Yeah.
something, forget it. Like I need to see it. I need to touch it. Like if it's a new software, like I need to play around in it. Like watching a video is not like I'm going to watch the video so that I can do it in the thing. Whereas other people, like you just say it to them once and like it retains in their brain, right? And so how do you also incorporate different mediums, or media, I guess, so that there is something for the visual learner and something for the auditory learner? And how are you kind of making sure that everybody walks away with the same value when we're not all consuming and understanding the information the same way?
Yeah, exactly. This is more and more key than ever before. I mean, not even just at events, like within organizations, right? It's like we
Yeah.
have to we have to understand that we're human, so that's the emotional connection that always stays the same, all of that, but we're so different too. So it's like We really have to. I mean, another one where the event where they had, oh, it was the coolest thing where they laminated the labels on. So you would go around to each of the vendors and you would get a little label sticker thing and then they would put it on your bag. That was cool because then people were like getting competitive, like, which one did you get? Oh, where'd you get that? And then it's like they're running around trying to find it. It's just all these like really interactive things. And with networking parts, I think the key is always have something that drives networking again, because like
Yeah,
just sending people into a room, it's like sometimes what happens, right? And what's the point is like the people who know each other, they gather
sure.
together, right?
Yep.
So it's like, and then everyone, and it's like, that's great, but it's like being able to facilitate them meeting new people. Sometimes people are like, they're uncertain or they just don't know how to go about doing that. So like creating like little challenges, like the stickers, like different things like that, that they can do passport stuff. We've seen that, like just help people start the conversations. And once that goes, then you're golden. But it's like
Yeah.
give them something to start with, is I think really, really important as well.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, we're coming up to time, but I think that's perfect of like give your people something to talk about and your great speakers will facilitate that for you and give them
Mhm.
something to talk about so that the connection like continues beyond them just on stage, right?
And
It
just
it
making
shouldn't
that
shouldn't
integration.
just be the flash in the pan that
No.
moment. Like it should be the before, during and after. And even going into like the next year, like how are you kind of connecting those dots year over year and that journey like you mentioned like you know mapping out that journey properly beyond just like slotting time slots and like filling agendas and breakouts, right?
Exactly. I agree with all of that. Yeah, there's lots of cool and unique things and with AI and tech, I'm really excited to see like how that continues to change the game, and what we're able to do with that as a tool to enhance everything that we're doing as well, but also making sure we have those human moments that we can just be like, you know what? I'm just going to put my phone down for a bit and actually talk to you, human being,
Yeah. Yeah, for
as
sure.
well. There's lots
Amazing,
of cool
amazing.
things that we do. I feel like we talked about like 10 million things, but I love
I
it.
know. That's why it's great. That's why it's great. There's so much here. So, would love to wrap up by having you tell us where people can find more about you. If they want to connect with you, work with you, where can they do that?
So I basically live on LinkedIn. So that is the one place to go. So I'm Tami Adams, Tami Adams on LinkedIn. So you can reach me there or under TA Speakers Management. And then my website as well, taspeakers.com. And then my email is Tami at taspeakersmanagement.com. And yes, I realize now how long that is, but nobody tells you when to start a business. Keep your email short. But yes, Tammy at taspeakersmanagement.com is also another place that you can find me. I'm pretty much always in all those places. And yeah, I'd love to chat about anything, whether it's a creative idea. Like, we love to have fun. I think that's like what people come to us for the most. It's like, okay, we're going to go there because we're going to get like a really customized, tailored experience where people are going to really remember those moments that they had with the speaker and at the event. And then they're going to be like, what am I going to do next year?
Amazing, amazing. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to talk to you.